Yeah, it's me, Scotty. Haven't called in a
Hey,
while.
man, what's going on?
Nothing much, nothing much. I understand the frustration about, how some people, or at least how you perceive some people as looking at the whole tax issue as a false equivalency. And you said that the left has forgot how to fight republicanism. I don't think that's true. I think that they've been doing it for decades. The problem is that they've been undermined by Democrats like the Clintons. Like, so when Donald Trump is able to talk about Reaganism, in the way, well, Reaganomics,
Hmm.
um, and Hillary Clinton doesn't do that good of a job to actually combat that, that's on purpose. And
Hmm.
so when the left is saying, well, she's just the same, I mean, you can't really fault them for saying that, because what have they really done to actually do? Like Barack Obama, he's actually extended the Bush tax cuts permanently.
Hmm.
Um, they're supporting the TPP, and here's where I came to this position. Watching the debate was incredibly sad, to the point where I came to my conclusion that the modern American left has been morally bankrupt in this instance. The fact that we have Donald Trump making a case against the TPP and NAFTA, and the person that is supposed to be fighting against that, the where the quote unquote left is actually just smiling about it, thinking it's not that big of a deal. That's a problem. And this is where people are just they're disgusted by what they're seeing. And so I understand your complaints about false equivalency, but it's like, I mean, you have to blame the Democratic establishment for this.
Actually, so a couple things. Um, a couple things. I'm trying to find one particular source so I can give you the exact percentage. So Obama did not extend all of the Bush tax cuts. He extended it for the for people making less than, I believe, 250,000. I couldn't find my source, Johnny, on the spot. But everyone making more than $250,000, he cut that tax break. Right. And he raised them back up from 35%, with George W. Bush gave them up to 39.6%. Right. So that's a big jump for people making over $250,000 a year. So just to be so we're clear on it, he raised taxes on probably the top 10% in America. Actually, I'm sorry, if you make over 100,000, I think you're like the top 5%. Right. So he raised taxes, and then he extended it on people making less than $250,000 a year. Now, whether you like that policy or not, I just want to make sure that we're clear that he did not just give a blanket extension. There are differences here. And yes, hang on over here. So here's the other thing to what you're saying. Can we blame the Democratic establishment? Yeah, I blame them for their part of this equation. Their part of this equation is that they are not equipped, and they don't want to, or whatever the case may be, to have a full-fledged war against Reaganomics, trickle-down economics. They want to give their increase of, like Obama did. They want to do exactly what Obama did, not repeal all of it. They want to increase the top people over top 5%. They want to increase you from 35% to 39.6% instead of revoking the entire thing. Because if you understand, Reagan in 1981, he dropped that top tax bracket from like 76% down to like 35%. Right. So when Reagan came in, he did a dramatic shift in the entire economic paradigm. So Democrats like Obama and Hillary Clinton, they're not in on any day of the week ever going to push us back over like 40 or 50% for that top tax bracket. But what they did do is different than what Republicans want to do, which is completely gut our coffers, which is completely give the biggest handouts they possibly can to the top 1% and the top 0.1%. There is a difference. Now, they're not equipped to fight because they don't really want to have an all-out war against Reaganomics. They just want to have this little nuanced positioning. They feel like it's some common middle ground. That's their problem. The problem for us progressives, that's not their fault, is that we have become so laser-like focused on the failings of the Democratic establishment that we are forgetting that we also have to fight Republicans just as hard as we fight against Democrats. And I'm not seeing that right now. And I understand why. The reason why is because we have this, it's like PTSD. Political PTSD, right? We just came out of this tooth and nail fight against an establishment that had the system rigged against us from the beginning, and all we can see is what they did. But I'm telling you guys, if you're going to look up with a person like Donald Trump and have everything that you hate plus some, and I think we'll be remiss to not point out the fact that there is a difference on this tax policy. Now we can go on foreign policy and we might find them being exactly the same. But on this tax policy that Donald Trump was promoting last night, there is a night and day difference. We may not like how far Hillary Clinton doesn't go, right? She doesn't go as far as we want her to go. We may want her to go, but she is not giving the same handout that Donald Trump is advocating for. All the while convincing America that he's this economic populist. He's a blue collar billionaire. It just doesn't add up. And we have to fight against that just as much as we fight against these Democrat establishments.